There's a few things behind the scenes going on in my business too, where there's just these little opportunities that have come up that we saw them and we were able to jump at them. And I think that's what most people don't do when they see these opportunities, is they just don't actually jump and try. Like, I have that mentality that the worst case that happens is someone just tells me where to go. Outside of that, I'm pretty okay with rejection. So if I see an opportunity and I think I can, offer value, even if I think it's a long shot, I just jump in and try and take it. The people who are too focused on technology, and I say this as someone who basically helps people with tech, those are the ones that will actually have a bit of problems. Like the ones who keep growing and growing and growing, leverage technology to make themselves more efficient and get their message out there. But they're like relentlessly focused on providing the best service and like the best customer experience.
All right. Hey, what's up, Masters? We are here today with Andrew Fogliato. Did I say that name right?
Good. You're good.
Good enough. Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
And I love your background, boss. You got the Joker, and also you got Thomas Edison. That's awesome. That's
Einstein.
There you go. See, that's all. That shows how brilliant.
I mean, you got
Einstein,
Michael Jordan, Tiger Edison. Woods, so you got right up there too.
Yeah, man, no joke. Yours is fancy though. Did you see the new movie yet, The Joker? Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I'm a pretty big.
What'd you think?
So, it was good. I mean, it's violent.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was good.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay. I'd say it was all right, but.
It's not one I would rewatch probably more than like once at most, but I'm glad I saw it. I enjoyed it. It's a cool like one-off experience.
Yeah. And well, the Batman series were phenomenal. So that last one, all of them were, but that last one was awesome. So anyway, enough about that. Man, you are a Facebook, you're an internet ad expert, but Facebook is the hot topic these days, right? So you do a lot with realtors in Facebook.
So it's more of the real estate industry in general. I mean, we kind of outwardly more towards real estate agents, but we actually work with a lot of like coaches and some brands, brokerages, vendors, stuff like that. But basically we only work outside of the industry by referral. Okay.
So tell us a little bit about your company, who you are, how'd you get into this business, and then take us to where you are today.
So I actually started as a real estate agent and I grew my business online. So I was like blogging. This was like early days of Facebook ads where it was super cheap. You could only do a little bit. For instance, my first listing appointment I ever got, I was door knocking, and then to the neighborhood I was door knocking, I ran a Facebook ad with my face and I was with Remax at the time. So I put the big balloon up there. And someone's like basically slammed the door in my face. But then that night being like, hey, you were the guy at our door today. We actually are thinking of selling. Do you mind coming back and letting us know what our home would be worth? So that kind of gave me that, okay, this works really well. Long story short, as I was building my business online, I got approached by one of the biggest sub-franchisor of Remax to train for their agents. So I ended up traveling North America training Remax agents. And I'm sure anyone who's done training before knows that every time you do that, people just say, well, can you just do it for me? I heard that enough times, I realized there was a pretty good business there. So just over 4 years ago, I started my agency. So we specialize in, for the most part, direct response lead generation for agents. The past, say, 18 months, we're going more and more into helping like build the brands up and do like the full online marketing suite. But basically the stick is we'll handle your online marketing. You just sell homes, which is why the company's called Just Sell Homes.
Hey, Masters, what's going on? I hope you're enjoying Andrew. And as I'm sure you're learning, he knows how to dominate with Facebook ads. And listen, I want to get you right back to the show. I want to share a few things with you before we do that. And one is a couple things that I missed when I was, I like to listen as I'm doing the interview or after I do the interview. And if I miss things, I want to go back and make sure I fix that. And it also makes me better at doing this. One of the things I mentioned in the interview was I listed 22 properties in January 2018. That is not true. We actually listed 22 properties, and that was in 2017, January. Another thing I forgot to mention is as I was in the conversation with Andrew, I mentioned Gary Vee had said that the industry is going to look like child's play 2 years from now. Ironically, 2 years ago, what he was referring to is all the other big tech companies that are getting into the space. So that was something that I didn't really elaborate on during the interview, but I wanted to make sure, as you know, that's happening now. I mean, you have Amazon in the space. There's been rumors out there that Google now with Google Home is exploring the space. There's iBuyer now, which is actually about 10% of all sales. So there's a lot of things happening. So that's actually becoming reality now. So and listen, nothing to be scared of. Again, it's just about being aware of it and how do you make those adjustments to continue to stay relevant in those things that Andrew's talking about. And then the other thing was I forgot to ask the question, the difference between listing and targeted advertisements. And I'm going to get the answer to that once Andrew's out of town right now. Some of you already may know the answer. I am not 100% clear on what it is. So once I get the answer to that, I'm going to post it in our Facebook group, Path to Mastery. All right, that's it. Vulcan 7, is my sponsor. You can check their service out for 2 weeks for $49. Get all your physicals expired. There's no better time, my friends, to call than right now, just because so many other agents are laying off and not making these calls. So beyond having less competition, this is a great time because the buyers are super motivated now and they're not wasting time. Also, you can check out my webinar, December 5th. It's connecting your way to 10 deals a month. This was my presentation. We just got 4.7 stars at the NAR convention. I would have loved to have 5. I'll take 4.7. I believe we had close to 500 people in the room, so it's not a bad thing. And also get your free book, any book you want on Audible. Go to davidsfreebook.com and get yourself a copy of any book you choose on Audible for free at davidsfreebook.com. My friends, listen, I do appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening. I hope you're enjoying this time of year with the holidays. And I look forward to connecting with you again in a couple of weeks. And if you need anything from me, you know where to find me. Go to my Facebook page, Path to Mastery, and reach out to me. IM me, post something on the page, and I will respond. Listen, if no one else told you this today, you rock. So direct response lead generation, for people that don't know what that means, what is that?
For the oversimplification online world, there's basically 2 main ways to grow. Either content marketing, which would be more your like traditional Gary Vee style of put out a lot of content and then people will be drawn to you, which we do a lot of as well. The direct response would be like, hey, here's the easiest example would be like a home worth campaign. Hey, click here to find out what your home is worth. You get the direct response of finding out what your home is worth, and the person in exchange gets your name, email, phone number, potentially the address. So we do a lot of campaigns that just generate those quick leads for people, because not everyone kind of has the desire to like wait 6 months to feel like a good content marketing start to generate things. They want things in right now. For instance, if you have a listing, you could give us a listing right now at 2 p.m. and I could have you leads before you go home today. Like it's really, with listings, for example, like it's quick. I mean, they're not the highest quality leads. I mean, the whole high, low quality lead thing is a little bit of a different.
Well, like anything, leads. Yeah. I mean, leads are a follow-up game usually.
That's what actually makes the difference. So generating like leads off a listing is so easy. A little bit more complicated now with the new rules on Facebook ads, but for houses for sale, it's not affecting the other types of ads, but works great.
Well, I want to get back to that because we want to bring our listeners some serious meat and potatoes. So maybe you can share the 3 or 4 or 5 steps they can do to generate leads off of a listing right now. And obviously, as you bring value to them, then they're going to go back to you because I tell you, I don't want to do this stuff myself. I don't mind knowing how to, I guess, but ultimately,
well, our ideal clients know how to do it. They just, they're so busy, they don't have the time. Yeah, we'd rather you know what we're doing.
Okay, so you mentioned there's the direct response, which is you're putting stuff out, get a free home evaluation, short sale, whatever it is, right? You want to sell your home short, whatever. And then there's the other one is, you said it's more Gary Vee style of just putting tons of content.
Content marketing. So it's basically putting a ton of content out there to show, like whether it's a podcast, a video show, blog posts, but basically putting out a lot of really valuable content that positions yourself as the expert and gets people to like get that know, like, and trust going. I mean, one of the big things I think a lot of speakers do poorly is when they say that build the know, like, and trust, is they say that like it's one word, and it's really 3 distinct phases. So like first you got to get them to know who you are, which, so for like my business, we use a show called Over a Pint, which is basically I sit down with people over a pint of beer and we just talk about business. So that's the first part of getting them to know me. And then hopefully as they watch the show, they start to like me. I mean, I'm sure you can think of people from your past that you really like them, you know who they are, but you would not trust them to do business with them. And a lot of people have someone like that in their life. And so like you still have to get to that next phase of trust. So you get them to know who you are, you get them to like you, and then prove to them that you're an expert. And then that's how you kind of go through there. And then they'll start coming to you eventually. That's the goal of content marketing, is to get them to chase you to work with you. It just takes time to do that.
Yeah, I like that you shared that too, because the context, if you like somebody and know somebody but don't trust them, doesn't mean necessarily they're a bad person. It could just mean they're not a really great business person and you don't, you know what I mean? So
there's a lot of people I like that I don't necessarily want to be in business with. Maybe it's just different styles, different philosophies on how we would run a business. It could just be little things like that. But personally, I think they're great.
Sure. So it sounds like the thing that's going to work the best, Andrew, is going to be a combination of both. Is that accurate?
Yep. So what we do with a lot of clients who want to get into even the content marketing side, which long-term, I think that has the best ROI, is you have to still bridge the gap. So we'll start with direct response marketing, but then even what we'll do is clients that were doing a full content marketing plan. This is like the beauty of something like Facebook ads, is now we can retarget the people who are engaging with a specific and relevant offer. So you're going to get a much lower cost per lead if you run into that ad to people who already have that know and like, and then your direct response ad could be something that shows that trust and really kind of solidifies that. Plus it gets them onto your list. And then once they're on your list, there's so many different ways to market to them that it's a lot easier to get them to become a client that way.
I actually, going back about 2 years, the end of 2017, I don't know if you knew this or not, I had Gary Vee on my show and we talked a good amount about this. And he actually, it was funny. He said, he goes, what's happening now is like literally like child's play compared to what's coming in the future with this technology. But we did what you said earlier is I was taking all the for sale by owners and expireds. I was actually loading them into a CSV file and running Facebook ads at the same time, calling them and sending stuff in their mail. So they were seeing us everywhere. And I literally took listings because people were like, dude, we see you guys everywhere. We listed 22 listings January of 2018. And we attribute it all to that 3 months of doing these types of campaigns leading up to that.
Oh, I love those hyper targeted ads. Like we have clients, like they have a listing presentation come up. We'll actually target the house of the listing presentation for like the 3 days leading up to it with like client testimonial videos. So that when that agent walks through the door of the listing presentation, that person's just been bombarded with people who've loved working with them leading up to it. So like when you know where people are, there's some really cool ways to be able to target them.
Back then, I could create a list, right? And I could consistently keep adding people to the CSV and then re-upload the list. Can we still do that, or has the Facebook changed?
The main kind of restriction right now with Facebook ads is when you're advertising a house for sale, they've basically eliminated the majority of the targeting, and the smallest you can do is a 15-mile radius. But that's just for when it's a house for sale. When you're doing other types of ads, the full targeting capabilities are there. Like we have clients that, for instance, like we have a client who has about 10 condos in his town, and we got him to stand in front of each condo and do like, say like it was 123 Main Street was the condo. It's like, hey, are you an owner at 123 Main Street? Get our 123 Main Street condo report. And we actually targeted just that building with that video. And then we did that for each condo building. We had the video of them standing in front offering a price report on their building.
So you can still do that. It's going to go further out is what you're saying.
No, so you can do that because that's not a house for sale. You're talking to them about like a price report on their building. If we were to then take a listing in that condo building, we couldn't do a more than a 15-mile radius because now it's a house for sale. And this all stems from a lot of the discriminatory stuff that happened because there's a lot of people who are abusing the system because for a while, you could literally put in like exclude ethnic affinity and then choose the minority you wanted to exclude from seeing an ad. Like it was... At the time, Facebook like trusted people to do the right thing. Obviously, that didn't happen. And so like obviously the government came down pretty hard on them. Yeah, and then now they've implemented this system now for like outside of...
And they didn't know anyway. They weren't into selling real estate, so they probably had no idea about all the ethical and that type of stuff with discrimination. Let's switch gears a little bit. I do want to get back to that question though, so that we bring some steps to our listeners. But you said disruption excites you, the opportunities it creates. Talk to us about that.
people get so nervous about it, but it's like land grabs. Like the second something happens that disrupts what's going on, there's always going to be little opportunities to create. Like it could be like a really little thing or a big thing. One of our biggest clients right now came because someone on like the drop of a dime left their team. And this was someone who was doing like all their marketing, but like left without giving them any notice, without giving them any knowledge. And this whole team now had no idea what to do. So we jumped in there like the next day because it was someone I knew personally and took over all their marketing temporarily. They loved what we did so much. It ended up leading to that client. And then they referred to us to a couple others. And we got this huge opportunity just because of this little disruption to one person's business. And then we were just able to take it and seize on it. There's a few things behind the scenes going on in my business too, where there's just these little opportunities that have come up that we saw them and we were able to jump at them. And I think that's what most people don't do when they see these opportunities is they just don't actually jump and try. Like I have that mentality that the worst case that happens is someone just tells me where to go. Outside of that, I'm pretty okay with rejection. So if I see an opportunity and I think I can, offer value, even if I think it's a long shot, I just jump in and try and take it.
So do you think like a lot of real estate agents are going to start leaving the industry now? Is that where you see an opportunity? Or I'm trying to understand based on what you shared, I see that there's a lot of changes coming. Technology is definitely trying to get between you and your client, me and my client, and they have a lot more money, unfortunately, than I do. So how do we combat that?
So I think the way that real estate will eventually go to more and more towards, especially because I talk to a lot of top producers, is the people who are too focused on technology, and I say this as a technologist, someone who basically helps people with tech, those are the ones that will actually have a bit of problems. Like the ones who keep growing and growing and growing, leverage technology to make themselves more efficient and get their message out there. But they're like relentlessly focused on providing the best service and like the best customer experience. Because that's the thing that keeps people like, for example, like my aunt is still a travel agent. Like travel agents, everyone's like, they're dead. Like my aunt is a very successful travel agent, but she's very hands-on, like very deep into it. And she provides like this really good specialization. She plans Caribbean weddings and European river cruises. Like that's her two specialties. Yeah. And she hits those pretty hard.
And you have to have those specialties to be a travel agent nowadays, right?
Yeah, because it's complicated. Like we have a real estate client who he only serves people who want to invest in pre-construction condos in Toronto. So even if you want a pre-construction condo as an end user, that's not who he goes after at all. Like he only wants that. His whole thing is like he invested 40,000 into condos, turned it into $1 million. And his entire campaign that we do is around this idea of watch how I turned 40,000 into $1 million. Now you can do it too. And then like when we send out emails promoting a new project, they're only projects he's personally putting money in. So it's kind of called like follow my money. You can follow along with where he's investing if you want to see what he's doing. And that builds a lot of trust because it's not just, oh, here's a great project. It's this is the one I'm personally investing my money in. I think you should too. And it's a great way to get people out there because he's specialized to such a specific degree that it works really well.
Masters, we are going to get you right back to the show. Listen, this really helps to keep this podcast going. So please, our sponsors, Vulcan7.com for all the data you need for making phone calls, a dialer built in, a CRM built in, a calendar system. If you need data for expireds, for sale by owners, you want to pull your sphere of influence, check out Vulcan 7 for 2 weeks for only $49. Check out the service. If you love it, keep with it. Vulcan7.com/path to mastery. Listen, free books, okay? Who doesn't love a free book? If you love podcasts, you're going to love Audible. It's audio books. As a matter of fact, I would get yourself a copy of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind right now. Just go to davidsfreebook.com. Yep, they're going to ask you to sign up. But here's what you do. You sign up, and then you just set a reminder in your calendar. So if you don't want to stick with Audible, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't want to, then just cancel before your card is ever charged. Okay, so you get, again, a free audiobook from Audible, davidsfreebook.com. You rock. Going back to what we talked about earlier, they're going to be in touch with their sphere of influence, but they're also going to use the tools that you have to position themselves, right? So when these people are seeing all these ads for Redfin or whatever, Zillow or what, any of these, they're also seeing his ads. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And the beauty of like a good content marketing play is you're getting them before they ever go to like look for homes on a Zillow. Because like when you go to Zillow, it's because you're looking for a house. Like you're pretty deep into the process now, but you can get them way before that if you have good content. Like if you're talking about the community and building that trust as the community expert and you're building your list, you'll get them on your list before they're looking for homes. And then you're just staying top of mind so that when they're ready, it doesn't matter if they look at Zillow because they're already dealing with you. I mean, a big mistake people make with online leads is they call them, like, or if they call them, most people don't even call their leads. If they get them, it's like if they're not buying right now, they let them go. And then just like, okay, on to the next ones. But those leads that like you got from a while ago, they have a lot of value. Like when we talk about agents who have like a 5% conversion rate, that's not in year one usually. It's like year one with a direct response, you might get 1, 2, 3%. And then the next year, another 1, 2, 3%, but then you're going to convert another 1 to 2% of last year's leads this year because now they're ready to move, but you have to have that follow-up in place. And most people don't do that. Like 40% of online leads just never even get reached out to.
And I think that it's not that the agents don't want the business. They just don't have a system in place to follow up, and they haven't invested the energy and time to build a system. I mean, so much of this is honestly just about having a system, regardless of what your system is. It could be a book, like a planner, if that's your, whatever, some system.
When I first sold, I was pretty cheap because I didn't have a lot of business at the beginning. So my system was an Excel spreadsheet and Google Calendar. And every time I added a new lead, I'd manually put them into Excel and I'd put my notes there. And then on my calendar, I would just go manually enter the next time I was going to follow up with that person. When that popped up in my calendar, I went back to Excel, did like the command find, type in their name, pull up their little row. And then I remember, oh, that's what we talked about last time. And it worked, but I like followed it. So when people say like, what's the best CRM? Like I used Excel and Google Calendar at the time. I wouldn't do that, but it worked. And that's what matters is like that consistent thing that you know is going to work for you.
There's a lot of robust systems out there now, but the reality is if you don't have a system, anything is going to be better than no system. So you could start with a spreadsheet, right? Can we still like load custom audiences into Facebook and then?
Oh yeah. And you can get pretty advanced with it too. So like, you can upload your entire database. Then you can do lookalike audiences off of that. You can upload segments of your database. You can do things like people who came to the landing page but didn't opt in versus people who came and did opt in. And then you can be like people who visited this page but not this page, or this page and this page. Like you can get really, really specific with what you're targeting. We actually play with that quite a bit, especially there's a change that Facebook made called campaign budget optimization, which makes this more cost effective for a lot of people. So before, and I don't know how familiar you are with the back end of Facebook ads, you had your campaigns, your ad sets, and your ads. The ad set is basically like, who are you targeting with this? And you had a minimum $5 a day budget for each ad set. Now, if you get up to like 6 of those, for a lot of agents, that cost adds up too quickly because they do minimum $5 per ad set. Now what you could do is take that, say, $10 a day total budget, put it to the campaign level, and Facebook will spread that out across however many custom audiences you want. So we have, like, for instance, with my website, we only have it running for 2 or 3 pages right now, but we actually have a different campaign that you see based on which pages of our website you visited. So if we know like you came to the packages page, we're going to show you a different ad than if you went to just like a blog post. And we will start changing the ads based on how long you've been on our site and different things like that. Or like people who unsubscribe from our newsletter are going to see different things than people subscribe to our newsletter. We can really change it a lot that way.
And that's what you call targeted or retargeting? Is that what that's called?
Yeah, so it's retargeting. So targeting is just like your generic, this is who I want people to see this ad. Retargeting is when it's like, these are people already in my sphere. And you can also go based on Facebook activity. So like if someone's engaging with your page or watching a video, like this is one of the things I do with my show Over a Pint. It's all video based for Facebook. We will actually run ads to people who watched the show, but based on the percent they watched. So the more of the show you watch, the harder the sell in the ad is going to be, because our shows anywhere range from like 1 to 2 hours. If you're sitting down and watching a 2-hour show with me, you're way more likely to jump on a sales call than someone who watches 10 seconds. So we can also change it based on what you're doing.
Sounds like you guys have a lot of ads, man. Who created all these ads? Who do you got? Do you guys have an agency that does that, or do you do it?
Well, we're the agency.
Okay, got it.
So the beauty of it and is the campaign budget optimization is like we could have 20 different things like that, but it's only actually running for a relatively small number because like in the grand scheme of things with Facebook, to reach 50,000 people is really cheap. The rough rule of thumb we use is $10 a day per 100,000 people you're targeting. So most agents, their retargeting list is 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 at most. Like you could go $2, $3, $4 a day and reach the majority of these people with different ads.
Wow, that's awesome. And then you are going to see who's clicked on the ads, who's watched the videos or whatever, and then you
can't see their name. Like you won't know, hey, like David watched this video, and this video. You'll just know that people did, and those who did that specific thing that you told them will see this ad. Like I just won't specifically know it was you personally until you opt in on something.
You know what's funny is thinking back now, and I haven't done this in a few years because I went into leadership and I kind of got out of the sales side. And I'm a nerd, so I wanted to learn all this, which I did. I spent some time and then I moved on and was going to hire somebody, which is what we're talking about, you and I now anyway. I had so much problem with the pixel, kind of getting that pixel going. And I think now, based on what you said, when I was looking at the pixel, it wasn't giving, like I was expecting to see like the names of the people. And so apparently it was actually working. I just thought it should be telling me exactly who was on my site.
Yeah, no, they won't. The only way you can get that type of data is different code on your website and you have a login on your website. So that's why like some platforms you can be like, hey, this person's looked at this property, and this property. There are pieces you can add to a website that tracks logged in users and then what they're doing on your site, but that's not related to Facebook.
What are the two biggest mistakes you see real estate agents making when it comes to this type of marketing?
They don't pick up the phone when they get a lead and quickly. Like that's the biggest one. And then they don't have a follow-up. Like even if they have an initial follow-up, the majority don't have a long-term follow-up. We see people who do like the famous like 10 days of pain where it's like texts and emails and phone calls for 10 days. And if they haven't bought or sold and gotten the phone with you in that 10 days, they kind of let them go. But there's a great guy, I don't know if you've heard of him, named Dean Jackson, who his whole philosophy is there's two types of leads, people who are ready now and people who are ready not now. If they're ready right now, you know exactly what to do. Not now, those go into a different bucket and you send them relevant information and put them with like it's called a super signature, he calls it, onto it. And that's what we do for a lot of people is like, okay, let's get your leads coming in. Let's see if we can identify the people who are ready to go right now. For that, we use what's called a Godfather offer a lot of the time. So the idea being, if someone opted into like a home value report, what would be an offer they couldn't refuse to get on the phone with you if they're thinking of selling? So we'll do something like, hey, if you're thinking of selling, get on a call with us in the next 72 hours and we'll give you HD photos, HD videos. We'll send cleaners to your home before it gets listed for sale and do either staging or a staging consult. But for someone thinking of selling, that's a great piece of value and they're going to jump at it. Everyone who's not thinking of selling, that's not going to convince them to sell. But now you know they're not like a right now, potentially. They can go into your longer term.
Wow, dude, that's my big takeaway so far from this. That's awesome. So, and you're sending it as an email and run it as Facebook or?
That depends on the client. But you can just like, if you're doing it, there's some cool things you can do with it. Like if you know really how to get into like the deep Facebook, the reason I said like, if you book call in the next 72 hours, because we might have a 72-hour ad sequence going plus an email sequence. So like one, you get an email each day there talking about it. But then on Facebook, we'll show you for like day one after you saw the offer, we'll show you one ad. Day two, we'll show you another ad. Day three, we'll show you like, this is your last chance to get this offer. And then day four, you see nothing.
Wow. So
you can customize based on how long since they've seen the offer, which ads they're seeing.
So if someone partners with you, Andrew, what would we expect for an ROI?
That depends on your follow-up skills. I mean, we have clients who have been like crazy high, like in the 10,000+%. Wow. I mean, those are the rare ones who like are really, really on it. And then there's some who don't make anything. Like we had one, just like the easy example on that. We had one client, we generated him 1,000 leads, no follow-up system at all. Like he'd get to his leads 2 or 3 days later. then forward it to someone on his team, and they'd get to it 2 or 3 days later. They'd make one call, and that was it.
Yeah.
Exact same campaign we sent to someone in the town next to his. And in the first 100 leads, he got 6 deals because he had like a really on point. Like our goal personally is a 4 to 5 times return minimum in the first year. But because of that thing, we're like, with agents, they have to make the calls. We can't guarantee because we don't know if you're going to make the calls, or even if you are making the calls, are you making the calls that day in the first half hour, or are you making it 2 weeks later when you have time? But our personal like internal goals, we want to at least get a 4 or 5 times ROI for our clients.
Fantastic. I love that, thinking of selling 72-hour deal. That's what do you call it? The Godfather? That's
there's
awesome.
a guy named Nicholas Kuzmich. I got it from him. He spends like $100,000 a day on Facebook ads. So he's tested it quite a bit.
That's
so that's who I learned from.
That in itself is you brought super value to everybody. Let's say somebody's not in a place right now where they're able to hire you. What would be the first 3 steps they should take?
So one, just Google and YouTube are your friend. We put out a ton of free content. We also have a Facebook group for agents called The Wheelhouse. We're very open about what we do. We're very happy to answer questions. We have a paid version of that too called The Wheelhouse Elite. And that's basically like a paid membership community where people can actually come in and they're doing it themselves, but we're there to support and offer things. Plus every month we'll actually write an ad for them that they can take and implement themselves. And then number 3, just start doing it. I mean, at the end of the day, experience is the best teacher with things like this. So even if you're going to do like low budget, like $2 a day, just to like test things out, just get out there and start doing it. And you can start seeing what works in your market.
I love it, man. Anything that I didn't ask you that I should have?
One thing, just as a tip I like to give everyone, this actually comes from Dean Jackson, who was talking about earlier. We've now tested it with a ton of clients. It works basically every time. We had one client it didn't work with when it was only sent to 70 people. Everyone else it's basically worked with is take all your old leads that are like 3 months or older that you haven't been in contact to you, it's a dead lead, and just send them an email, assuming they're buyer leads. Subject line would be like homes in and the name of your town. And then the email just say, are you still looking to buy a home in? And then put the name of the town. Don't fluff it up with like, hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Like take all that out. Just be like, hey, you're still looking to buy a home in New York, and send that out almost every single time. Like the first time we tested it, we sent it to 300 dead leads for a client, like all 3 month plus leads. 10 people responded, 3 deals came out of it.
I love that.
So for her, that had been like 30, 40 grand commission off one email to dead leads.
I heard you on social, Selling Made Easy. That was actually how I became aware of you. And I reached out to you right away. I thought that was phenomenal. You gave that tip. I did it right away. The next day I emailed all these old realtor.com and Zillow leads, and somebody responded, hey, we'd like to talk to you actually about expanding our search, like a $500,000 buyer. So it definitely works, man.
It works. It's so simple.
Yeah.
Like it's almost stupidly simple, but that's what makes it work so well.
Yeah. Just simply town name, Northborough. Are you still looking to buy in Northborough? That's it. Name, realtor. Awesome, dude. All right. Hey, how do our listeners get in touch with you if they're interested in your services?
JustSellHomes.com is the easiest one. You can also reach out to me personally on Facebook or Andrew at JustSellHomes.com, or join our Facebook group, The Wheelhouse, which you can also find on our website. If you just scroll down on the homepage, there's a link right to it.
Okay. And then are you going to be at the NAR convention?
Yeah, I'm speaking Friday, and then I have a couple Ask the Expert sessions as well.
Oh, good. All right. So I'll be with you then, because I'm speaking Friday and I'm on the podcasting Ask the Expert. So I'll get to connect with you. We'll talk a lot. You and I are going to get something going, man. Definitely. So
sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to working with you. So what's the final thing? Let's leave everybody with like the final on your path to mastery. This is what I want you to take from today, from listening to this.
The one thing, and I think it's literally just get up and try. Like everything, like I talk about, like related to my success is just getting up out of the chair and actually going and getting out there and talking to people. Like everything you do online should lead to in-person conversations. And if you see an opportunity, don't be afraid to jump at it, because the worst case that happens, you're exactly where you are now.
Love it, man. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you. And thanks for your time, man.
Thanks for having me.
Masters, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to this episode. You know, I get it. You're ready to move on. And real quick, before you do, a couple opportunities for you. First off, I just want to, if you could give me a review, it helps tremendously for rankings as well as helping us get better guests, everything. It's just awesome. So if you could, wherever you listen to podcasts, if you're on iTunes, that's amazing. If you're using Android, wherever you listen, be phenomenal. I just really say I appreciate that. Just launched a brand new Facebook group. It's really excited to get this thing going. The goal is every day bring inspirational stuff, videos, stuff that's not going to be accessible to everybody, certain trainings, opportunities, webinars, everything. So it's a free group, guys. Just go to Path to Mastery. Search Path to Mastery on Facebook. You'll find a group. Request access, and I will get you in right away. I promise you. And books. I talk about free books all the time. You probably already heard me talk about free books a million times, and I know everybody loves a free book. So just go to davidsfreebook.com on Audible. Right, go to David's Free Book. Get yourself a copy of any of the authors that we've interviewed. I mean, why not get a free book? It's free. It's amazing. davidsfreebook.com. And again, I just want to say thanks. And as you know, health and nutrition has always been number one for me. Just completed my first Ironman, guys. Lake Placid, 70.3 in the books. Goal was break 7 hours. Did it 6:49. Next year, I'm breaking 6 hours, guaranteed. I'm happy. I did my first one. I cruised through. I followed my coach's plan and cruised through. And next year, I'm going all in. Anyway, the reason I'm sharing that is because I'm on Advocare products. I've been taking them for a long time. Tremendous health and nutrition products. If you're interested in learning about the products, go to livelongersmarter.com. livelongersmarter.com. You can check out the products for energy, protein, health and nutrition, vitamins, anything you need is there. My friends, thank you, and then please give us a review. You absolutely rock, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. If you need anything from me, shoot me an email, david@davidihill.com, or if you like, call me, 774-314-1107. Thank you.